long. I'll try to keep this short. I'll just start with a little review a friend had sent me, right? Sanders, one of my friends, had written this, not per se about postcards to Bentham, but surely stimulated by, Sanders hasn't read this, but the manuscript which I sent earlier, the published version hasn't been read by him. So this is a review that was forwarded to me for promotional purposes, right? So I thought of just reading it here. It's called Vihanga Perera's Postcards to Bentham, a satisfactory blend of postcards to Bentham and postcards to Bentham. That is the title. Vihanga Perera, who
postcard to Bentham and postcard
to Bentham. Right? Vihanga Perera, who prefers to call himself a writer of fiction, short fiction, poetry, and whatnot, I am certain does not wish some nosy critic to discourage his limited readership each time he embarks on a new literary venture. Nevertheless, the current reviewer, who was fated to go through Perera's most recent work, Postcards to Bentham, thought it not unseemly to record one or two personal observations on behalf of his enthusiastic writer, as well as the dear reader, who will have the pleasure of paying, or a varying mixture of both, of perusing this collection of short fiction. Vihanga Perera, with his tendency to experiment, is a writer who, more often than not, is at odds with the conventional forms of narrative favored by the multiple agencies of mainstream literature. Irrespective of various judgments passed on the content, or the very lack of a coherent content, which itself becomes the most meaningful content, in instances such as fear of gambling, Perera's literary or meta-literary texts have been characterized by a daring to try out novel modes of expression. However, what is significant about Postcards to Bentham is that the writer, known or most probably unknown for some reason, for his preoccupation with what one might term experimental literature, strikes a compromise between his experimental tendencies and the demands of popular fiction. Hence, it is in view of this dual aspect of the text in question that one can choose to call it a juxtaposition of Postcards to Bentham and Postcards to Bentham. The former appellation standing for the unconventional elements of the work, and the latter standing for those which appeal to the mainstream literary politics. If certain readers in their encounter with his previous works had to exercise a lot of self-restraint, not to damn Perera for trying their patience with some of his esoteric characters, hopefully they will find the engagement with Postcards to Bentham a more tolerable experience. Some might even feel like hugging the writer for the simple pleasure that he has produced something which they can, at least on the superficial grounds, can comprehend and perhaps relate to. To quote Vihanga Perera's own words, "If you have read me and felt lost and uninterested, this collection is your salvation." Finally, dear reader, Perera is not one to be taken at his word all the time, yet this once, let me assure you, he is genuine. So, thank you to Sanders for forwarding this. With that, I will speak a bit about Postcards to Bentham because it's been a while since I worked with short fiction, which is a genre I have very much enjoyed working with. This is actually the first collection of short fiction in 8 years, the last being in 2006, The Autopsy. And I think this is again a collection which I really enjoyed working on. The original manuscript of Postcards to Bentham, there were 10 stories. Then I think when the revision process was on, we decided to take off 3, including the story with the title Postcards to Bentham. That was also taken away. And I think we brought it down to 7 short stories with a cute make. I think even the most cynical of critics in this room, Dhanuka Bandara, was quite taken up by the build of the book, right? With its pocket-sized economical carry. And also I think personally as a reader, I'm someone who doesn't really enjoy reading my stuff once it is produced. I really enjoy reading it even at the stage of the proofs. I really enjoy editing stuff, going through what I have written and editing it. But the moment it comes out in fine print, I totally become disillusioned and uninterested with what I have written. This has been the case right throughout, but I think Postcards to Bentham and maybe the fear of gambling, right? Maybe the fear of gambling and Postcards to Bentham definitely, I think is an exception to this rule. This is something I have enjoyed as a reader as well. Even this morning I was just going through it, trying to figure out what sections I could read, and I totally got lost with my own writing, right? And to see it was 2 o'clock already. So, just to introduce this to you, a book which I'm sure you're going to buy with this kind of introduction, which I think you should buy. There are 7 stories, and I think as Aslam earlier pointed out, I think Aslam has a genuine point there. Much of the stories are in and about Kandy. Kandy's landscape is, I think, very strongly resonant in some of these stories. That is true, and also some people we might come across in our day-to-day work. They are also idea, because now one problem was the section I want to read today has to be crossed out because 2 people who are mentioned in that section are in the room. Yeah, so I think I had to make a last-minute decision not to read that section. I won't say that those people are in the room, but let's say at least.
You said it already, haven't you?
Huh?
You said it already.
I've said it already. Yeah, I know. People who might be stimulated by these real-life figures, they're in the room. So it's a kind of a movement between who they are not. But since we all know how we read characters in books, the best thing is to leave it out. Because the problem is when we leave the room, that is the problem.
Oh, I guess, yeah.
So if I take the 7 stories here, I think there is a blend, there's a varied blend. As another person who reviewed this book for me, who gave valuable feedback to me, pointed out, there is a diversity according to this friend reader's own words. There is a diversity that kind of captivates the reader's interest. Now there is one reason why 3 of the stories were taken away, because the 3 stories that were taken away, we had a collective feeling that what is there has already been said and there is too much of the same thing coming over and over again. So we decided to save that for a future project, if at all. One of the short stories included here, the 3rd short story, Photos of Rebellion it's called. I dedicate this short story to my 2 good friends, Samita and Gayatri. For one reason, because this story was included in a story competition, which was I think also contested by Samita and Gayatri, and I had the good fortune of winning the 3rd place. I got paid for it also, and Samita I think won 2nd place in that competition. Gayatri won the top prize. So I think once the competition was over, I made a mental note to dedicate this story to my 2 good friends, Samita and Gayatri. And now the story is called Photos of Rebellion. So when you read it, you will also figure out the story is placed 3rd in the contents. It is the 3rd story. It is maybe to resonate the 3rd place that it won. Aslam in his delivery referred to a nun who was unmarried. Now in my reading this is not a nun, so I have to mention that also. There is a person referred to as Sister Fiona in this story which Aslam referred. It's called Fiona's Dreams, starting page 87. It's actually a person with I think a traumatized mental condition who's having dreams over and over, and who also has a ill health. I think the context of the story is a community where you have a group of people who are trying out alternative healing methods to come in terms with the various problems they have. So I think the word sister is used there, maybe not without an intention of causing a controversy of a sort, but I think sister is used in a more humane term, at least that was my reading. So, yeah, like saying Radhaslam, for example. So anyway, I think what I'll do is, without talking further, I'll just read a section I wanted to read from the story titled Julia's Friend. It's the fourth story of the collection. I'll be reading a bit from page 63 onwards. Now, out of the 7 stories, there are a few stories which still resonate that so-called experimental way, where there is a absence of linearity at places. And Julia's Friend is one such story. It comes in 4 sections. There is no necessary connection between the 4 episodes that are included here. But what I'll do is I'll read a bit from Julia's Friend. One of those unmarried people, right? Now this guy is in a restaurant. It can be any restaurant from Devon, Ratnagar Bakers. It could be any restaurant. He's with a friend, Nirmala, I think is the name. He's with Nirmala. And then he sees this old teacher, one of his teachers during his school time, enter the restaurant with her kid. An old teacher of mine enters the restaurant carrying a 3-fold umbrella in her free hand. A frigid-looking teenager, showing all signs of being a teacher's learned kid, follows the teacher to the counter and glances cursorily at the display of eatables. She looks much older now, but looks cannot deceive me much. She was an ordinary teacher, a leftover of a college graduate who had tried all other alternatives at employment and failing, had taken to a 6-hour job which paid half wage. And she used to mutter without much conviction metaphysics from the religion textbook, while the sailor of course wouldn't abandon sleep. She had positively nothing to offer a 6th grader's imagination, but her boobs. But then again, I was never known to like big boobs. Her daughter, the teenager, my instinct tells me, is much more promising. If nurtured and sheltered from the leprosy hole her mother and those like her mother represent. As they turn around after making their purchase, a few pastries on a ceramic tray, the teacher's eyes brush against me, and I am sure she, for a moment, is unsure as to whether I am one of her students at one point or not. I am confident of myself that with all my years of coming clean, I have more of me in who I am to convince her that I am not. But for a moment, she is in a liminal third space, but then her eyes move on. Such teachers, whose worldview ever so seldom exceeds where their mediocrity thrives in the stunting of young kids, expect all and sundry they may ever come across to bear that mathematical probability of having at one point passed through their hands. Then my eyes, for a second, rests on the kid's eyes. Holding her own pastry-laden tray and a packet of Milo in her other hand, she gives me a free young adult celibate's glance and takes the eyes off my eyes almost as soon as our eyes are met. In her eyes, though, I read signs of already have been taken in being indoctrinated by the straitjacket of fake cultural fads, of being set on the belt of the machinery being set in motion, of having entered the plant and the factory emitting hazardous whoops, of having come out the other end as a sealed can of a neatly sliced dehydrated fruit. My ambition in life is to give life to such lifeless. Then a bit further on, the episode has now changed gear. Now it's a rainy evening and people without umbrellas are waiting in the shop fronts along a main street in Kandy until the rain subsides. Our narrator is also there. And while he is there on the other side of the road, he sees a little girl, a kind of an underage girl, unspecified age. And then when the rain stops, when the girl starts to move, our narrator starts following her. The creepy narrator we have here, okay? I follow you from this side of the road. As you pass one after another, the people, this is 65 bottom. I follow you from this side of the road. As you pass one after another, the people and the hurrying odious bodies that walk in your way. I follow you walking parallel to you on this side of the walkway. At the next cross street, I cross over to your side, walk behind you for 60 safe yards, cross once again to the other side and maintain a slack pace as you slow down and pick up speed again. Where could it be that you are going in such fast strides? You walk up to J&J Jewelers and cross the road so rapidly that I have to pause in my stride to determine my next move. Cross over, move straight on along this side of the pavement on which you had earlier done. A split second's hesitation and the traffic comes surging from my left, and I see as you move away and away on the far side. Scamper 5 yards, bolt across the road. A darting horn needles through one ear, blows out the other. I move on. I hit the pave with its turbid baby puddles, oven fresh from the last downpour. I see your pigtails. I see your white school uniform and 5 or 6 other bodies shuffle through and through. You pause by the crossing at the foot of the Queens, and as I speed up, some idle Ostrogoth saunters right across, right in front of me. I sidestep, and I am trying to keep you in my eye, and I step on some disconcerted, distracted brat's left foot, that he yelps and hoots, that his ugly-faced, sweat-rendering mother shouts at me a menacing obscenity, that I turn back just for a sharper glimpse, as that obscenity was so cutting and out of order that when I turn back with the futility of that moment, to my utter dismay and unforgivable horror, not only were you gone, but you had left no shoe behind. I barely looked to my right. I crossed the road, cutting through 2 lanes of traffic, and ran headlong in the direction of the Queens, hoping that that is the direction in which you may have gone. I heard the heels of my shoes clatter along the corridor of the Queen's public lobby, and I slowed down my pace for fear of losing you among the bin of men and women. I can be seen stopping short at the other end of the corridor, near the arch of where Odell had opened another shop. I survey 3 sides of the road from where I stand, and all I see is heads and bodies following bodies and heads. A trail of vehicles like doomed cows in idle grazing, their sold as moose disguised into honks. I close my ears with both my big palms and I stare into the far horizon, which is immediately blotted out by some building's roof with a bang. I hear the convulsions of the muffled evening noise of the metropolis. Like a languageless hum, it drones from note to note. Try doing that. Standing in the middle of town, try doing that, you get this effect. Like a languageless hum, it drones from note to note. This is the keenest of inevitable musics of God's final destiny. Without God, faith or conviction, we are all here. So I listen to its whisper. That is where section 4 starts. Section 4 is altogether a different concern, but I'll just read one passage from section 4. That night, the 21st of March, I wrote a song for you. You were perhaps fast laid in deep slumber as I lay in bed repeating these lines to myself. I could see that the night outside was flooded with the near full moon's mesmerizing light. All that mid-March, I was haunted by a deep felt stir that it is to me that you belong. I saw you as the Beatles would have seen you. So I titled the song to Julia. I'll stop there, right? I'll stop there. And highly encouraging you to add this to your already extending collection of Vihanga Perera's work, right? I think there is a what do you call it, a special first reading price. You get this for 200. Don't worry when it says 500. This is, I think, something you learn as you go along selling your own stuff. You have to plan ahead. You have to plan 5 years ahead every time you put the price because you'll be spending the next 5 years selling it, right? And if you are lucky in 5 years, you'll be done with the first print. So this is, I think, given at a special price, 200 bucks. Please take it along. Please read it. Give it to your parents, your friends, right? Spread the word. Help expand my fame, right? And my power, right? Thank you very much. I think we can spend a few minutes if there are last minute questions. I think.
I would like to place fame by not help spread fame, but help sell the product.
Yeah. So we can take a few minutes if you have anything to say, anything at all, anything about this, anything about Sanders's review, Aslam's poetry, Ruksham's absence.
So we just can have a casual chat. What the hell?
Yeah. What the hell?
Did you deliberately try to change the style in this book? Like because